In this video, I'll be talking about aliens and dreams. In science class when I was younger, they explained to me the theory of how energy works and how that you cannot destroy something and create something. It's always recycling energy. So with that in mind, I keep thinking that, well, what happens to a subconscious? It doesn't just disappear. It must be recycled into something else. And so I feel like the energy of a human being gets recycled into a force that drags through space-time. And I think we see a lot of, apparitions and figures in the dark, and I think that could also relate to otherworldly or other dimensional beings. I don't think we see ghosts. I think we can feel ghosts, technically, but I think what we see is other beings. I don't think we are seeing ghosts. I don't think we can contact ghosts, but I do believe we can contact other beings, and I believe these other beings might be either observers of our world, or they are travelers who watch what we do and every move we make, basically. But I wouldn't think something would be that in tune to us. But if you lived for eons or 1,000 years and you just got bored, you would probably mess with other beings if you could. I think some of them might take pleasure into messing with people. But again, if you could recycle your consciousness into a new being, a new body, a new plane of existence, wouldn't it be fun to mess with the old plane? Go back to the old days and be like, I remember these primitive people. So hilarious. I know I would. To top onto the topic of aliens, I believe there's a very high possibility that aliens exist, but I don't think they would have gotten to us by now. But maybe they have. I don't know how long the Earth has been around for. Nobody really knows how long the Earth has been around for. We can only speculate. And with that, I believe that we have a point to see that the world that we know has been around for such a long time. Possibly we were a desert planet that got hit by a water planet and became the planet we are now. And that's why it has an odd gravitational pull. That's why it has an odd shape to it. I think that maybe we just came to be because we were a part of one planet and another one came to be because they were part of a different planet. That makes sense to me. I've seen some figures, which I believe to be different dimension walkers, and I don't know the state of mind you'd be able to see them, but I do have this feeling of these beings. I don't think I see them, but I feel like I do, and sometimes I think I'm crazy. Sometimes I think, I'm just wishing that I could see them, but other times I see some things and I question my sanity. Like, I've seen at the foot of my bed, I've seen a tall, slender being. I've looked out my window, I've seen a tall, slender being. I've looked up into the sky and I saw a star move left, stop, get bright, and disappear. So I don't know if that is what I think it is. Maybe it's a phenomenon I witnessed. I don't know if it's ships or whatever. I mean, the thing that I saw in the sky, I think that might have just been a comet hitting an asteroid, or an asteroid hitting a comet, or either way. It was something that was moving and burning brightly, and it probably hit something. That's why it went really bright for a second, and then it drifted off. And I think that was before that meteor that hit near Australia. It might have been a part of that, but again, we are constantly moving, so I don't think it would have been. I'm actually surprised that we haven't been wiped out by a planet-killing meteor yet. The amount of moving debris in space, the amount of rocks that are out there, the speed that we're going around our sun, and the speed that the sun is going in the universe, it's really a phenomenon of how we've survived this long and not had any actual meteor showers. We've had meteor storms and we've seen them, but we haven't. I don't think that we had any meteor showers. I've never witnessed one. It's just interesting that there's all that stuff in space and yet our planet has not seen it that much. Maybe we've seen like a meteor once or twice in our lifetime, because thank the internet and thank people for recording all the time, we have some evidence of this happening. But nowadays, You can't tell what evidence is anymore because there's CGI that's gone really real, there's AI that's gone really real, and it's extremely hard to differentiate what's real and what's not. But I guess you don't really have to know what's real. You just believe in whatever you want to believe in. You can have your reasons for believing in it, you could argue points to why people should believe in it or shouldn't believe in it, but the thing is, everybody's going to believe in whatever they want to believe in. They're not going to listen to what you have to say because you believe in something specific, you know? But that shouldn't deter you from trying to let people know how you feel about things. Someone disagree, that's okay. That's in their right to disagree. But you shouldn't be upset that they disagree with you. They have experiences in their life that's led them to that conclusion. You've had experiences in your life that's led you to this conclusion. I've had experiences in my life that's led me to this conclusion. I believe that there's no such thing as ghosts, but I believe in energy. I believe that there's a possibility that there's aliens, but I think it's more possible that we live with interdimensional beings. That being said, I also believe after death we go to a new plane, our consciousness at least. I'm not sure where it'll take us, but energy just doesn't disappear. Something that's being does not just simply stop existing. There has to be an explanation or a symptom of what happens after death. There has to be something that is happened with the consciousness. And I get that people say the consciousness is just because the brain is active with the energy in its head, and the energy can be zapped out somehow, and that is what stops. But I still don't believe that consciousness is contained with flesh and bones and liquids. I would like to believe that consciousness can survive death, because then that leaves me less scared of death. Death is a part of everything, and it is frightening to think of what would happen after. But I've also tried to think back before I was born, and it was just... the only thing I can remember is floating in nothingness. It wasn't black, it wasn't white, it wasn't grey, it was just nothingness. And I have not a clue how long I was suspended in that nothingness. But I do remember I was there. I don't know how long it takes for a soul to rehabilitate, because I would like to believe in reincarnation, but I also believe that in thinking there is something after. Even if I'm just waiting for eons for my next breath of life, I still believe that there is such a thing as another life, another plane, another existence. Whether it's the same place we know, maybe it's a different place. Maybe we get to go into a magical, mystical world like most anime have. Go into a fantasy setting. That's not fantasy, it's real. Maybe a place with magic. Maybe we'll go back into the same sort of hell we were in, maybe a worse hell. Who knows? But I do believe that if we just accept it as a part of life, life will be a lot less scary. If you know where you're going, or you at least believe in where you're going, I don't think you can be scared of where you've been and where you've ended up. I don't know what dreams are either. I've had some weird dreams. I thought maybe they're glimpses into different dimensions, maybe they are ways to connect to ancestries, maybe they're ways to connect with the future, maybe they're ways to connect to aliens, who knows. But I've had some weird dreams. One in particular that stands out to me for this topic is there was a glimpse of these alien ships, all the same shape, just a whole army of them moving through space, stopping over a planet and just kind of looming over the planet. And then it cut to a flickering AI type image of this black shadow silhouette with the widest eyes I've seen. And as it flickered in and out of shapes, colours and pastels, there was a voice attached to it telling me that there was a war coming and that I need to tell them, I need to warn them. But I didn't understand what that was about. I don't know what in my subconscious made me think that that's what I needed. I don't know what's made me believe that I'm anybody that anyone will listen to. So I don't know why I would have a dream like that, or if you want to call it a premonition like that. I understand that there's always wars coming. There is a big possibility of extraterrestrials finding us. There's also a higher possibility that they're not happy and they're not good beings. There's a high possibility that any life form that we interact with or meet outside of Earth isn't going to be friendly. I understand that there is a very high possibility that we may interact with beings that are more selfish than us, more greedy than us, more sadistic than we can be. I believe if we keep speaking out to the universe, then we are probably going to be targeted and manipulated. I believe that if you are vulnerable, you will be attacked. I believe that there is a higher possibility that powerful beings have understood that, and that powerful beings are moving through space. But that is not to say that those powerful beings do not have those among them who are good. We can't just look at something and say, oh, well, everything associated with that is bad. We can't look at something and say, oh, everything associated with that is good. False trust, false hope, false security, false fear, the things that control us, the things that stop us from being ourselves. These are things that we need to be aware of. Making somebody else choose your decisions or getting somebody else to make decisions for you. There are these beings that are black shadows, black figures basically, and I think I've seen one. And from the stories I've heard, there was one story that one of my close friends told me when she was working a night shift as a nurse. She was sitting with a guy and sitting in his room, and she sat down with him because he said, I don't want to be alone right now. And she's like, okay, I'll sit with you. And the room got hot. Thermostat 23. But the room was so hot that she was sweating just sitting there. She said it felt like it was like 40 degrees in the room. And she was sitting there with the guy, and the guy was freaking out, like, I'm sorry, I need to confess something to you. I want apologies. I want to atone for my sins or whatever it was. And she's like, look, man, I don't want to hear it. I'm not the person you should be telling that to. Then she saw this tall, slender being walk through the doors, go up to the bed, and shove its arms or tendrils into the guy's chest, and pulled out what she could describe as a soul. After that, the guy passed, and she said that this being felt like it was just true evil, like it was just menacing. Had red eyes, tall, slender, black figure. She said it was very much like a tree, and it walked out. And after that, the room went back to 23 degrees. And I heard that story and thought, that's so interesting. He might have done something really bad. And she's like, yeah, I told the daughter what had happened, and that he said that he was sorry. And that was the last thing he said. The daughter started crying because I guess the daughter knew what had happened. And my assumption is that he sexually abused either his own daughter or like somebody new or someone, and that's what he wanted to atone for. But with that in my mind, being a victim of that kind of abuse makes sense, because I've seen that creature but not red eyes. I've seen that creature with white eyes. That creature was at the end of my bed looking over me recently after I had been abused, and I didn't really know what to make of it. I didn't know what it was. And then I heard the story. These beings, tall, slender, black beings, black shadows with white eyes and red eyes. The red eyes are said to be evil, the white eyes are said to be good. But I think what it is, from my experience, from what I've seen and from what I've heard, it's possible that the white eyes look over and protect those who have been abused, and the red eyes take justice, take the souls of those who harmed somebody. And I would like to believe that. I would like to think that there is a sort of justice for those kinds of people. You know, I'd like to think that I have a guardian of some kind who's looking after me in the sense of that mess. And I know they've seen some stuff I've been through. I'm sure there's other people who are on the chopping block. But I find comfort in the sense that I saw it and it was just looking over me, watching over me. And I take comfort in that because from what I've understood, they're just checking in on me to make sure I'm okay. Which is nice. The only time I saw it was actually was the night that I tried to take my own life because of what I've been through. I was so upset, I was confused, I was angry, and I almost just had enough. And I thought that this wasn't worth being around for. And so I got a broken belt, and you can just guess the rest. I really was at the end of my rope. But once I collapsed and it loosened, I realized that I had almost caused my whole family to be in pain. I almost caused my mother to cry, my dad to cry, my siblings to cry. And it was from that day that I realized this is not my life to take. It's not my choice to take this life. I'm here because I have a reason to be here. My reason so far is my family. I'm here to just be here. I'm here to listen to them if they need somebody to listen to and vent to. I'm here for them. But the sad part of that, what I have been struggling with, is that I don't know if I've gotten over the fact that I'm only here for others. I want to be here for a lot of people. I want to be good. I want to help people who are going through shit, but I don't think that I've gotten over the fact that I'm only here for others. I honestly don't know what I'll do when my parents pass. I want to be a good person. I want my life to have a meaning. I want my stories to be shared. I guess that's why I've started YouTube and talking about my opinions. Anyways, that's my encounter. That's my belief. I would love to hear some of your theories in the comments below. If I deserved it, please leave me a like. Bye!